Hello, so we're here in this Crystals and Chakras series, and today we're going to talk about green fluorite. This is an amazing stone, a very powerful one. It's the master stone of the Cardinal Method practitioner. I have such connection with it, and it stabilizes the heart chakra. It does bring stability to your heart chakra, and it is the connection with the joy of life and your personal fulfillment and your happiness. So it is a stone of happiness because it's also connected to the Thymus Chakra. The Thymus Chakra is developed by our personal growth. The more we connect to ourselves and develop our souls, the more the Thymus Chakra is developed. It's called Ananda in Hindu wisdom. I want you to focus on the color of green fluorite, which is green. It's a color of healing. It also belongs to the cubic system, so it aligns the heart chakra and the root chakra. So it brings a connection between your heart and your emotions and your physical body, your environment around you. Green fluorite is very powerful regarding the physical environment, your presence in groups and group belonging. So there's so much that it can bring as a benefit for us. And I really want you to understand the power of the stone so that you can use it for your benefit too. So the first thing that's important to understand is that the general attribute of green fluorite is happiness. Happiness is a little different from joy because joy is every day you can have joy, right? It's a moment to moment feeling of joy. Happiness is more long-term, which is one of the attributes of fluorite. It is a stone of processes and progress. So it really encourages you to follow through in pursuing your happiness. It's just so wonderful in this sense. I'm a huge fan of this crystal. That's the general attribute. When it comes to the benefits on the emotional level, it's green. It is related to the heart chakra. The heart chakra has pink and green energies. Green is a color of healing. And the power of green fluorite, when it comes to the emotional level, is emotional organization. That is the most beautiful power of this crystal. It organizes your emotions. It brings stability to the heart, and it creates flow in an organized way. So things are not all over the place. It is the opposite of emotional chaos. When you have green fluorite around you, it is going to bring emotional organization to your life. You will have this sense of happiness because you will be able to feel all emotions, all the spectrums of emotions, and know what they are and allow yourself to feel them, not suppressing some emotions and highlighting others. All emotions are valid and equal, and they are all integrated and they're all embraced by you when you connect to the energy of green fluorite. So on the emotional level, I can't recommend this more because it gives you emotional stability and emotional organization. On the mental level, this is also an amazing stone. It's so powerful because it brings unbiased thinking, okay? It's not just objective thinking, it's that you become impartial. Because your emotions are organized, you're able to see the truth very vividly, and you're not going to defend something in a subjective way, have strong opinions about things you know little about. You're not going to want to be right all the time. Because this is a stone that is all about the pursuit of happiness, there's always that question, right? Do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? Are you going to waste your time convincing someone else of something you know doesn't make sense for you, that you know not to be true, or that you don't know what the truth is? But regardless, you're there with strong opinions. You don't want to have that kind of output in the world. I'm sure you want to become a happy person, and that means letting go of subjective opinions and developing unbiased thinking, impartial thinking, an impartial mind. There's such freedom when you're not attached to opinions, and when you don't want to be right all the time, and when you don't want to convince people of anything anymore. Okay? If someone has a rigid mind, or if someone is intense, why would you waste your time? Why would you sacrifice your happiness trying to convince an intense person of this or that idea? So when you have established an organized emotional realm, you let go of that kind of thing, and your mind becomes more stable, more impartial, more tuned in to your happiness, and more unbiased, which, as I said, brings you a lot of freedom. When it comes to the physical benefits, because fluorite is a stone of flow, this is a very important word when it comes to fluorite as well. The word flow allows happiness to be this beautiful, abundant river of life in your heart and in your path and in whatever you create for yourself. So your thymus chakra starts growing and shining and connecting you to your happiness, right? So on the physical level, the blueprint, the energetic blueprint of your body becomes more flexible. Muscle, the joints, the ligaments, everything that encourages movement for you is what green fluorite will encourage. I just love this idea of flow and organize, flows of life and progress and processes and walking your path in happiness, in joy, right? So daily joyful moments create a year of happiness, create a life of happiness, if you will. So that's powerful. And it really does allow your body to develop an energetic immune system. So remember, happy people get sick less than unhappy people who complain all the time, who are, grumpy all the time. The immune system is very connected to your emotional life. The thymus gland is a very powerful place. It's a powerhouse for your immune system. So green fluorite can be extremely useful for your immune system because it encourages your happiness, and the happier you are, the healthier you are, right? So it's great in that energetic level. As I say, the spiritual attribute of the stone is always the most important part of it, the most important aspect of it. And green fluorite on the spiritual level is your individual happiness in the world. It's like your individual signature, your energetic blueprint of happiness and how that happiness flows in the world. So the spiritual attribute of green fluorite is asking yourself and knowing your higher self will answer this question. Where does my happiness reside? And what do I need to do to pursue it and to manifest it? So it's knowing your happiness and flowing with it, moving towards it, creating a life path that is aligned with your happiness, even if it means sacrificing a little bit of your laziness or a little bit of your comfort zone in order to pursue your happiness. So the pursuit of happiness and the commitment with that happiness is a huge spiritual leap that not everybody is willing to take. That's why the Hindus will say that Ananda, or the Thymus Chakra, is not developed in a lot of people. Of course, yogis know this and they do it, but most people don't pursue their own happiness because they're not willing to sacrifice comfort zones and laziness. Because fluorite, as I said, it relates to flow, and flow is the opposite of laziness, right? Of stagnation. Fluorite really promotes movement and to get you out of stagnation, beginning on the emotional level, because the color green is all about emotional healing. So if you have emotional stagnation and you decide to pursue your happiness, this spiritual energy is going to slowly dissolve your emotional chaos, your commitment with your happiness, which is individual. It's no one else's. There is no general rule for happiness. Everyone is unique in that level. This area of the body, the heart chakra and the thymus chakra, have everything to do with freedom. So happiness and freedom are very connected. Love and freedom are very connected, right? So your happiness becomes your greatest treasure when you awaken to this consciousness. Green fluorite is a stone of spiritual awakening. And what happens is that when you start to awaken spiritually, this energy ripple effects in your vibration, in your vibrational field, and you're going to start attracting like-minded people who are in the flow of the pursuit of happiness, who are in the path of the pursuit of happiness. This stone elevates your vibrational frequencies, and you start attracting happy people, attracting people who want to pursue their happiness, of course. And not everybody is a happy elf all the time, but there are people who are committed to their happiness and those who are not. And then there are those who are on the gray zones, right? They want it, but they don't want what it costs. They want it, but they don't want to make the effort. Remember, it's all about releasing laziness for personal growth. And this stone really does help with that beautifully and powerfully. Okay? So it's a stone of individuality, of asserting your happiness to yourself, but by default, it does influence the environment and it does influence groups. So it's interesting because it really works in a flow of individual and group vibration, individual and environment vibration. And as I said, I'm a huge fan of this because it is a multitasking stone that brings you happiness, that brings happy environments, that elevates the vibrations of the environment and elevates the vibrations of other people. Not that you're going to drag down people who are down, not that you're going to bring them up. They're either going to feel uplifted on their own. You're not going to have to make any efforts regarding other people. You're just focusing on your own happiness. But because you're vibrating in such a high frequency, they may, unconsciously vibrate higher. Or people who are always down and don't want personal growth, don't want the flow, don't want to enhance their vibrations, they will eventually fall away. They will eventually fall off of your life path naturally and organically. Because we know that some people have roles in our lives. Other people are just there because of the energy we're emanating, and they are not that meaningful to us, and there's nothing wrong with that. This is not evil or cruel to not embrace everybody, because not everybody is in your vibrational frequency. And if you are a person who is committed to your vibrational frequency of happiness, to your individual truth of what makes you happy, you're going to attract like-minded people who are very independent. Because if you are emotionally organized, you're self-reliant and self-sufficient on the emotional level. And there are other people in that frequency too. So you're not going to attract needy people, energy vampires, everything in the environment that may, even people who emanate psychic attacks towards you. You're not going to have time to even focus on that. When you're pursuing your happiness, you create immediately this energetic field that doesn't allow you to even focus or acknowledge psychic attacks, draining people, or energy vampires. Okay? So green fluorite really is powerful in that level, and it does bring you a lot of joy on a daily basis and a lot of happiness on a long-term basis, on a structural level. So joy has to do with what goes on in your day, and happiness has to do with what goes on in your year, maybe a month, but in longer periods of time. So it's all about this beautiful, abundant flow that brings you joy and happiness because you are emotionally organized. So what can we do to benefit from this stone on a practical level? How does that uplift our energy? How does that bring this amazing, juicy joy of life and the happiness of being who you are? You can see here that I have different shapes, right? There's a sphere here, it's pretty big. And this is how nature brings fluorites to the world. So they are octahedrons. This comes from nature. It hasn't been polished this way. There's a tiny one here that's an octahedron too, right? There's a larger one that's an octahedron. This is natural. It's a natural shape. And you can see it's very bright green. So is this wand. But there are darker shades of green in fluorite. This is another specimen that is beautiful and also raw fluorite, green fluorite. So these are awesome. So the first way to use it in a practical sense is to benefit from fluorite in your environment. Because it is a mirror image. I always say this, right? What's inside you creates what's outside of you. So the external world is just a mirror image of your internal vibration. So if you have green fluorite in your environment, it can either be, I have this rough piece that's the size of my hand. What I consider an environment stone, it's something that is at least the size of your hand. But you don't want to get specimens that are too large, because each centimeter of crystal has a range of 1 meter of energy. So if you have these huge chunks and geodes in a small room or environment, it can really interfere in your central nervous system, and you don't want that. But this size for an environment is good. This size for an environment is good. So I would just suggest that you have green fluorite to emanate emotional organization in the environment. Okay, so it is an environment stone that when you look at it, you remind yourself of happiness. It's just so powerful. And it really does benefit everything physical around you. So that's one of the ways that I suggest, 3 practical ways. The first practical way is to have a reasonable sized green fluorite for your environment. The second one is to have a green fluorite. It could be this size. This is approximately 2 inches or even 1 inch, to place on your thymus. Why am I not suggesting that you have a green fluorite as a pendant? Because green fluorites can be fragile. They're the stones that I know that break most easily. And if you walk around with green fluorite everywhere in the environment, especially green fluorite, of all fluorites, this seems to be the most vulnerable to environmental energy. It's very possible that it'll break. It can be overwhelming for the stone to be on your thymus all the time because of its nature. So because they can break easily when used energetically, I suggest you don't wear it all the time in a pendant. I suggest you place it over your thymus like this and take deep breaths for as long as you feel like, maybe 10 seconds. It doesn't have to be very long. If you want to lie down up to 10 minutes with a green fluorite on your thymus, you're welcome to do that. It's great. So from 10 seconds to 10 minutes, you will get the benefits. Okay, so this is amazing and powerful to place green fluorite on your thymus. And the third practice is to wear green fluorite as a bracelet on the left wrist. Why on the left? Because the left side is our emotional side in the system that I connect with and I develop. So it is the emotional realm that needs organization with green fluorite. So I always, when I wear green fluorite bracelets, it's always on the left wrist, okay? To remind you of emotional organization, okay? So last but not least, either if it's an environment fluorite, if it's, a sphere that's placed here, or if you're placing it on your thymus, either lying down or sitting down or standing up, just placing it here, the affirmation for green fluorite is, I connect to the flow of my happiness. I connect to the flow of my happiness. I connect to the flow of my happiness. And that's it. Say it 3 times on your thymus, or place your hands on the environment fluorite and say the same thing. I connect to the flow of my happiness. I connect to the flow of my happiness. I connect to the flow of my happiness. 3 times, no more. Powerful. You're walking around your home. You see the fluorite. Place your hands there. Say the affirmation. You want to take some time for yourself. Get the little one. Place it on your thymus. Say the affirmation. The reason why you can say the affirmation in 2 ways is exactly because flow has to do with the connection between your personal energy and the environment around you. Happiness has to do with your inner world and being in a healthy environment surrounded by happy people. Okay, so this is what I wanted to share with you today. I hope it was clear and that it brings you joy. If you have any questions, ask them below this video, and make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already, and I will see you soon.